Feixiao vs Dr. Ratio. It's time for another Star Rail DPS Showdown. We're gonna skip the pleasantries today. We got a pretty long one with Memory of Chaos and Apocalyptic Shadow, so let's get right into their builds. Cruising in the Cellar Sea is a great free-to-play option, and fortunately both of our contestants today are hunt characters. My Feixiao will be on 4-piece Duke with 2-piece Duran, and she's E0. Dr. Ratio's got a stellar 80-190 crit ratio, very similar relic quality to Feixiao, also rocking the boat of course. Most important traits maxed out, and he's got 4-piece Pioneer with 2-piece Salsodo. Pretty standard build, nothing too crazy to call out here, but he is at E0. So as I mentioned earlier, we're going to do Memory of Chaos 12 followed by Apocalyptic Shadow, and both of them will be running their respective premium teams. Fart for Feixiao and Rat for Dr. Ratio, and we'll see how they stack up against each other. I'm doing the usual 10 attempts each, but since there are 2 game modes this time around, that will be a total of 40 runs. Just before we start, there's a bit of explaining to do with the support build, so let's head on over. That's right, we're using tutorial on Topaz, just for the stats. So because we can't toggle Eidolons, I did my best to balance each of them around an E0 S1 level. It's not going to be perfect, but this is the best I can really do. I started doing nonsensical things like removing relics as well, but that just got... it was a bit too far. Hoyo, please let us toggle Eidolons, and while you're at it, put it in Genshin too, thanks. I wanted to give Aventurine moment of victory to also reduce some of the RNG with getting targeted. Unfortunately, or fortunately, he is E2. Not the craziest amplifying Eidolons, but it adds up. Robin was definitely a tricky one, so I had to give her a level 20 for Tomorrow's Journey. The problem with E1 is it's a little too strong, but with this setup, I'd say it's a pretty reasonable compromise, only about 5% ahead for Feixiao's damage compared to E0 S1. Robin also does a lot less personal damage, so it evens out. But with that out of the way, it's time for the show. Don't worry, I didn't disappear. Music was just too good for me to interrupt. The opener for Dr. Ratio is pretty standard. We need to get Robin's ult up as soon as possible, so there is a bit of RNG involved. She needs to get hit by one of the claw attacks as well as the blast, otherwise we won't be able to get it in time. But fortunately we did for this run, which means we are able to save a Dr. Ratio ult for the second wave, which is going to be more important. That's a lot of front-loaded damage right off the bat. We can kind of relax here, make sure we're building up energy, not using too many skill points, and just trying to be efficient. An Aven basic here should take out the left one, and then Dr. Ratio for the finish brings up Nami as well. And on to the second wave. It's time to swap over to Feixiao. Let's see how she handles the opener. There's a bit less RNG on this side. Robin doesn't need to get targeted. She just needs to get hit once by the blast. And because we have so many attacks after the sequence, she'll be able to ult. It's just a chain reaction follow-up attack, super satisfying. We'll queue up Topaz's ult here so that Feixiao can also advance it with her skill. Get ready to Robin ult after this, and we should be in Concerto with a lot of time to spare. Unless something really bad happens, I'm pretty sure we're lock-in for the 0 cycle on the first wave. This ult might be a little unnecessary, but better to be safe than sorry. Three actions left and 2 more nummy ones too, so we're gonna build up some energy for Topaz, even shield up here. And Feixiao will send us into wave 2. Swapping back over to Dr. Ratio. Hope it's not too confusing, but we got an ult ready to go, so we'll drop it on this Boris and mech. Gonna get a lot of value here out of Avin getting hit. Follow-up attack sends Dr. Ratio's first chalk, and then Nummy sends out the second. A ton of front-loaded damage here. We got good targeting RNG, and we can pop Aventurine's ult immediately. Triggers the follow-up attack, pretty disgusting value. Unfortunately, this advance isn't going to do too much, but hey, we get to effect res thanks to our fortified wager. I think that's what that shield's called. One final massive chalk before Robin exits Concerto. From here on, no more RNG is really required because this is a guaranteed hit on all our allies. Gonna have enough energy to launch a second Dr. Ratio ult as well as Concerto on Robin again. Just need to make sure we don't forget about the guy on the left here. Sometimes I do these runs and I focus too hard on Kafka and then the Boris and mech stays alive. But not this time. We're going to queue up a Topaz ult. This way the skill also advances Nummy. After that we'll pop a Robin ult to enter Concerto, and that should be enough. So I actually made a fatal mistake here. Luckily I didn't get punished this time, but I should have saved Aventurine's ult for after I used Dr. Ratios so we can actually send out the chalks. Kind of bricked myself here, but didn't get punished for it, luckily. You'll see. We'll get our ults right after using this, and that should be enough to finish. Remember, always save your Aventurine ult when you need to proc Dr. Ratio's attacks. Don't do what I did. But that is going to be a respectable 0 cycle clear for Dr. Ratio. Let's see if Feixiao can match that. We actually have her follow-up attack sneaking in from the last wave. Start us off with an Aventurine ult. Nummy will also be able to attack here. Actually, we just have a lot of things happening all at once, as usual. Feixiao, big ult here on Kafka. If you didn't know, on PC you can use the V key to toggle between autoplay and non-autoplay. Very useful for those of you with Feixiao. And we're going to be able to pop another ult, and this is Kafka down before she even moves. Pretty ridiculous stuff, and Topaz is going to get another ult here as well. And with the attacks we have left, we should be able to take care of this before Robin's Concerto even ends. One more Feixiao turn. Skill into follow-up attack into Nummy, enhanced follow-up attack, and we also got a 0 cycle clear. But it's not over, we got one more for the tiebreaker. I figured I don't need to yap as much if I just let you listen to the music, but I'm back. I made some pretty significant changes to the support builds for Apocalyptic Shadow. Nothing changed with Dr. Ratio or Feixiao. They're still on boat, but I gave the signatures to all the supports. Since this game mode is score-based and they're using the same teams anyway, I thought it would be fine to just unleash everything I had. And you can see Dr. Ratio is absolutely destroying Kafka here. Speaking of which, you might be wondering why we're not on Aventurine or Vantilia, and that's because I actually recorded these about a week ago, and I didn't really want to redo them because I already had a lot of practice in this Apocalyptic Shadow, and I don't know if those bosses are fair enough for both of these contestants. Dr. Ratio and Feixiao are both at pretty much equal advantage against Kafka here, being both wind and imaginary weak. Each of these chalks after her toughness bar is gone, hitting for absolutely nuclear damage. So Dr. Ratio ended phase 1 with 1924 action value. Let's see what Feixiao can do. Just like MOC, Robin needs to get hit at least one time, that way she can ult right after her allies take their first turns. We do get it here, so we should have a pretty good setup. Of course, if I didn't get it, you probably wouldn't be seeing the video. There are definitely a lot of times where I'd reset right off the bat if I don't get an RNG check, and I don't count those ones as attempts. Usually it's just quality ones where I actually get to finish the run. So I end up doing a lot more than 40 runs in total, but hey, it is what it is. Anyway, the actual fight that's happening here, once we're in Concerto, we're pretty much one-banging all these enemies, and gonna pop Feixiao's ult here to not overstack, but it won't be that big of a deal because we're gonna be able to break Kafka's toughness bar really soon after. Let's just appreciate this combo. Now I do mess up a bit. I should have Feixiao ulted before Nami attack, that way we go into the next phase with full 12 stack, but it's okay, this will do the trick. Back to Dr. Ratio now. We're going to start off early with using our Aventurine and Topaz ults. We're going to get attacked by the fire-breathing dino, so we want to be energy efficient, don't want them to overcap if possible. And the rest of this is pretty straightforward. Make sure we focus down the dinos before we target Kafka. Can't do anything about Nami here, but it's okay. He still ignores toughness. So far, both Dr. Ratio and Feixiao are neck and neck in terms of action value. So let's see if anything changes. I think the best part about the IPC core is the enemy hurts themselves. They just attack an Aventurine and then he launches his fault attack, advancing Nami, and it's just an endless cycle of follow-up attacks. But we're down to one enemy left here. Should make quick work of the toughness bar thanks to Nami and Aventurine follow-up attack again. We're not even going to get the chance to deal with Kafka's mechanics. Going to be a Robin basic straight into Concerto, saving as much action value as we can, and this should be the end score. You're going to see something pretty gross here. We're going to get all our ults, use them to break her toughness, and then get all our ults back. It's just cinema. Dr. Ratio finishes with a solid 3,815 score. And we're finally on to last stretch of the showdown. Let's see how the general does. Same strategy as Dr. Ratio's. We want to pop all our ults so we get our energy back when we get attacked. Something weird happens here though, and I'm not sure if I'm seeing it correctly, but on that first follow-up attack, not this one, Nami didn't actually get advanced even though it hit Kafka, so I could just be seeing things, I don't know. Not really gonna impact this run too much though. Feixiao and Topaz make quick work of both of these dinos, and thanks to good targeting RNG, Dr. Ratio. Aventurine gets to launch a lot of follow-up attacks. Gonna be able to delete it with just one ult. All that's left is Kafka, and I'm afraid her days are numbered. Feixiao finishes with 3,854. So we do have a winner for today's DPS Showdown. Feixiao and Dr. Ratio tied in Memory of Chaos 12 with a 0 cycle clear on each. And Feixiao just edged out Dr. Ratio with 3,854 points, only 39 points ahead of him, but still very respectable scores, and honestly, pretty impressed with Dr. Ratio. Being able to stay relative in performance to the newest top dog in town is a testament to his strength, but I don't want to keep you too long. If you enjoyed, I'd appreciate a lot if you left a like and sub, and good luck to those of you who are pulling for Feixiao. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.